All right. Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Former Athletes Podcast. And since MLB spring training has started up, 2 of us wore our Orioles jersey and one of us is a fucking loser.
That's right, loser.
All right, let's take you around. Let's take you around the screen, introduce you all the people. To my right is the soccer legend, Jordan Durner. What's up, Durner? All right, and to my bottom left is the one and the only Nick Walls. What's good, Nick?
Fellas.
And to the bottom right is the man, the myth, the legend, Jonathan Sapp. Say what's up, Jonathan.
Ooh.
Oh,
okay. Interesting. I thought he just really liked the introduction this time. It just took him back. He was like, damn, what an
yeah. Hey, it threw me off there. Unfortunately, people, Durner is not going to be here today. He had some personal business to take care of, and that's okay. The show's going to roll on. But I wish he could be here for this topic because there's one thing that this podcast supports, and that is nobody hates on LeBron James. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care when you're talking about it. Just don't hate on LeBron. And some soccer player, I'm going to take a shot. Is it Ibrahimovic?
Close. Ibrahimovic? Shit, Jonathan, what do you think? Everybody take a guess.
I like the second one.
Oh. Damn, just shitting on the host right in the beginning of the show, dude.
Someone did their research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shout out Nick. Let's go with the research. All right, anyway, Ibrahimovic, he went on and he basically told LeBron that he should kind of stay in his lane with sports, which, you know what? Anybody can have their opinion on, but I tell you what, we're going to let you know what ours are. Nick, let me see what you think.
Yeah, see, to me, it's been going on for way too long with players speaking their mind for him to just pull up. Very randomly, I feel like he's 4 years late on this trend.
Yes.
And I get what he's saying. I'm just going to jump to my grand point. I think just because you're a professional athlete doesn't mean that you can't have feelings on other things, especially in the age of social media. Like, who the fuck are we? We're just 4 guys on most weeks, just saying the things that we feel. And although we may have different professions, like we're on here, we're talking about the things that we like and we're giving our opinions to anybody that cares to listen. I think it's the same thing with LeBron. And LeBron, the GOAT, he's entitled to his opinion as well. You can choose to listen to it or you can choose not to. That being said, you can choose to listen to Zlatan or you cannot. And there's going to be people that agree with both. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to stay consistent here, right? Like, LeBron is my favorite basketball player, my favorite athlete, and I support my dog. I think he's a great guy. He's a stand-up individual. And because of that, when he says things, people tend to listen to him, right? But he's built a platform off of sports to be able to have people, at least to give him at least enough popularity to say things, and people can choose to listen to him or not. Like, there's a lot of athletes that also have a large following. People understand what they mean to their certain sports, and they follow them on social media because of that. They could very easily use that social media platform to talk about X, Y, or Z. Some people choose to, some people choose not to. It's also at a certain level kind of a burden almost, where it's like if you choose to get into these things, then people are going to be seeking your opinion and seeking your outlook on these types of things. So to the people that don't care to do that, I think Zlatan being one of those people who's like, I just play football. That's cool, just play football. And once again, he's entitled to comment on it and say, like, hey, that's kind of how I feel about it. But I don't think that just because he feels that way, everybody's got to feel that way. But I don't know. Jonathan, what'd you think, bro?
No, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, if they were robots, then, yeah, okay, you're only supposed to play basketball because that's what you're, like, programmed for, right? But
yeah.
I mean, if you set up a platform and you're going to ask them their opinions, right, they should be allowed to share their opinions. Like every player has to do a post-game interview, right? LeBron's got to sit down and answer some questions. Like Kyrie's got to sit down and answer some questions, right? So if you don't like people having the ability to talk about whatever they want, or you don't like people talking about like their opinions on certain matters, then don't give them that platform, right? But I mean, clearly people want to hear what LeBron has to say about topics, right? We that's what everyone talks about. Everyone talks about, like, oh, the game was great. Did you hear what he said post-game? Like, did you hear, like...
True.
Like, Kyrie and just told James Harden, like, you're the point guard, I'm the shooting guard. Like, that was like going through the news for like a full week. It's like clearly we like to hear these interactions. We like to hear behind the scenes. It's more than just about the X's and O's, right? If people only care about the X's and O's, I feel like it would get a little boring, right? Because at the end of the day, all you can talk about then is just the game. But I mean, I think it's all the stuff that encompasses the game, like on top of the game itself. That's what makes it really interesting. So if you have a problem with players voicing their opinions on the platforms that are being given to them, don't give them the platform. But it looks like the NBA said, hey, we're here for it. We're going to ask them their questions. They can answer it, and then they can also take it elsewhere. I mean, they've already provided that. So, I mean, if you don't like it, then like take it up with the NBA and not with the players.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, hey, Durner, what do you think? Cool. Yeah. I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it like that. Wow. I mean, okay, Durner, that might be one of the best takes of the episode. Anyway, well, what I think about it is like basically, yeah, I'm a fan of players, teams, whatever it is, and I do think it's good for the game to get personal with these players, not necessarily say, hey, like whatever your opinion is, but everybody loves social media. Everybody loves Twitter. Everybody loves Instagram, YouTube, watching clips of these guys like training in the off season. It's because they want to know more of what their favorite player / team is doing in the off season. So I think you're getting into the world of, hey, I want to be a fan of this player. And when you get into that world, you're going to disagree with some stuff. You're going to agree with some stuff, but that's part of the fan experience and being a fan and interacting with these players, which is what like social media gives you the platform for. And I don't think, I mean, Ibrahimovic is also entitled to his opinion. So like he can say what he wants about it. But I just think like it's, hey, LeBron, if you want to talk about it, I got your back, man. Whether I agree with you or not, you're a good player. You're a good dude. I know what you stand for is going to be what you really believe. So let's just keep on rolling with it, man.
We just got to take in consideration, once again, the social media age. There's athletes in the past that the only thing you learn about them is through the newspaper. From what you see from them, like on TV, literally during the game, if you got to watch their post game and whatever was written up in the newspaper afterwards. So you can look at those sports athletes as more like, I love that player because they drop 25 points a night for my team and I love that team. So that's kind of like as deep as it gets. Now with social media, and I feel this way about, I'd say, all types of celebrities. I might learn, like, I'll transition a little bit. I might like a band or like a musician because I'm like, oh shit, I really like that song. So let me listen to this band or whatever it may be. And then I learn more about that band and I could like that band more or less based off of how I feel about those people. I just feel that's how it is with a lot of people. So same thing translating to athletes. I'm thinking maybe people feel that way because we'll use LeBron as an example because clearly he's a great basketball player. And if you love LeBron because you love watching basketball, you think he plays really good basketball, but maybe you disagree with some of his points, I think it's only natural for people to be like, shit, man, I used to like him, and now like I don't agree with what he's saying, so now, I have a harder time wanting to root for him. And I think people are entitled to their opinions on those types of things, and maybe that's where like the shut up and dribble thing comes from. It's almost like, I don't know that it necessarily always comes from a malicious place, but people just being upset where it's like almost like a natural like knee-jerk reaction. There's, once again, I'll take it back to a music example. There's musicians that I listen to because maybe I didn't hear their songs first, but I heard an interview from them first. And I was like, holy shit, like that person's really cool. Like I agree with some of the things they were saying, or they like some of the things that I like, and they make music. Let me go listen to them. I don't think that we necessarily get exposed to sports athletes in that same manner all the time. So it's almost like we put the sports as tier one, which probably reasonably should be. And then when you have those secondary things, because we're in the social media age, maybe that's what could disappoint people or really excite people. You get both sides of the spectrum. Yeah. And then to Thomas's point, I mean, give them a platform or don't. Give them the follow or don't. If you don't want to hear it, don't follow them.
Right. Yeah. And I think, too, if I can cut in really quick, I mean, the argument to, like, not voice your opinions and only stick to sports, I feel like doesn't really stand because... if his job is to be an athlete, right, and to perform, every day in, day out, like, playing hoops, that's like saying you're not allowed to eat fast food anymore because it's your job as an athlete to stay in shape. It's your job to get 9 hours of sleep because you got to stay healthy. You got to, and it's like at that point, it's like, what are we doing? We're controlling their lives. I mean, he's you can't control someone tweeting after the game, right? Like, they've already done their job. So, I mean, like, the league itself has no problem with it, but then also, it's like, if he does do anything, it's on his own time. So how are you going to get mad at someone for doing something on their own time? And it's like, if you don't like it, just don't look at it.
Yeah.
I also think people use like the term role model too, and it's like, hey, you want to call him a role model. Say, hey, you're a professional athlete. You're supposed to be a role model on the court and show kids like how to act and how to do this. And you could almost say it'd be irresponsible if he didn't speak up for what he thought was right, even no matter what it is, whether I agree, you agree, we agree,
Right.
No matter what it is, it'd be irresponsible for him not to speak up and stand up for like something that he believes in. And then in a sense, if he's a role model, teaching kids to not stand up for what you believe in, and it's almost just putting it back on the, hey, you're just a sheep now in this world. If there's nobody there to stand up and talk and then teach the next group of people to stand up and speak, then it's just going to keep on, getting pushed away and pushed away and pushed away, and we're just going to live in a robotic world at that.
It's like a double-edged sword. It's like it's like on one hand, we're putting you on a pedestal and saying you need to do better, but then when he does better, people are like, hey, that was dumb. Why'd you do that? Now I have to hate you. So it's like, you can't win it both ways. People want you to do stuff, but when you do stuff, they get mad.
Hey, It's tough at the top, boys. It's tough at the top.
That's true.
And let me toss this out there real quick. So LeBron is always a point of conversation, right? LeBron is a household name worldwide, right? I think maybe my man Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I know he was, at least at some point, like a soccer star. And my man just might be irrelevant now. So he's trying to get his name back in the spotlight. So, there might be some clout chasing involved here where, people not talking about him. It's an easy way to get back in the media is throw shots at LeBron because, I mean, just think about the NBA season, how it's been going so far. They was talking about is Brandon Ingram throwing shade at LeBron for saying that Zion's been the first teammate on his level. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as Brandon Ingram says that, we talking about Brandon Ingram for a whole day on SportsCenter. So if Zlatan wants to speak up and he wants his name out there again, he could just be throwing shots to try to be relevant again.
Did he just come over here from Europe to the MLS? Is that correct? Or like,
I think it was a couple years ago. Because I remember when it happened, people made a big deal of it. Because I do think he was like a pretty substantial like soccer star, and I mean the shit he says is hilarious.
Did he play for Barcelona like when Messi was there, or am I complete
shit out of me, dude?
Yeah, ooh, Durner, man. Durner, what do you think?
Durner, yeah. Oh, you don't know either? Oh, okay.
Damn, dude, a little disappointed to be honest.
I thought you were a fucking soccer expert.
He knows nothing.
Anyway, the dude's just trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, that's what I would chalk it up to.
Chalk it up. Win LeBron. Team LeBron win. Team Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
It's an L. It's an L for me, dog.
Yeah. Big L. All right, let's move on to topic then. So, shout out spring training. Shout out Baltimore Orioles. Ooh. Shout out MLB season starting. And I do want to start off with something, though, that nobody knows. I was a big baseball fan, not as much anymore, but for some reason I have been turning on some MLB Network and watching some shows and shit. So.
Like some preseason analytics? Yeah. Oh, man.
It's like that February, March feeling you get, and then like by the time the end of April comes around, you're like, all right, baseball's done to me. But
real quick, who else is getting this feeling? You and what percentage of the population?
It's like you realize basketball's still a thing.
True diehard baseball fans, the true lovers, the Jim Palmer lovers of the world. You know what I mean? Shout out Jim Palmer, righty. He was a broadcaster for the Orioles for a while. Anyway, we're done with this MLB talk. Before our ratings go down, our very high ratings.
50% of our viewers, man. Thanks, you asshole.
Very high ratings. Before our high ratings, basically, we want to get into it. In my opinion, the reason we don't watch the damn game anymore is because of analytics. And analytics have ruined baseball. Analytics are starting to seep into the basketball world, or would you say they're fully into the basketball world?
Fully
into the basketball. And then I think it's definitely starting to take over the NFL too, with like fourth down conversions and this, that, and the other. So I would like to start with Jonathan, our resident computer nerd, our numbers guy, the guy that can hopefully give us the best.
Tearing the sports world apart, damn it!
Yes, your type of people are ruining the
Yes.
sports world. Can we get an opinion on it? What do you think?
So, I don't think it's ruining the sports world. I think it's just showing. Yeah, hot take. I think it's just showing teams what they already had an idea of, right? Like, if you are D'Antoni and the Rockets, and you realize, hey, James Harden's pretty good at hitting threes. Basically all it's doing is these numbers are saying, hey, when he hits threes, you guys win. So he's like, cool, I'm just going to put my team in a position to shoot more threes, right? I think the numbers, I think there is an issue because people are seeing these numbers and they are just like leaning all into it. But
And he forgot about defense.
It's true. He threw that playbook out.
Yeah.
You look at the Denver game where they all got or the three players got into the corner to hit. You guys see that game?
Yeah. Was it the game winner? Was it for a game winner?
It was for a game winner.
Yeah.
It was fourth quarter, a couple seconds left. Jamal Murray had the ball. He was getting double teamed on a fast break. There were three people who were available to hit the final shot. Instead of them going to the open paint in the middle to get an easy bucket, go to overtime, they all went to the wing to basically hit the three. So they got a bad pass.
Okay.
They missed it.
Hold on. I'm glad you brought that up because I have a question for you, right? You're a fan. We're fans of the Denver Nuggets, right? The three of us. Put yourself as fans of the Denver Nuggets. If a random end of February regular season game, we ain't talking playoffs, okay? It's not playoffs, okay?
Right.
We're talking a regular season game, right? Are you cool with taking the L there with the chance to get a game-winning buzzer beater 3, but instead you passed up the overtime and the casual fans like, man, it's fucking 10 o'clock. Like, I got to work tomorrow. I'm trying to go to sleep. I ain't really dealing with overtime. I'll take the win or the loss, but chuck up the 3 and try to win it. And if you do hit it, I get some excitement. I would rather have that personally.
I think it's pretty considerate of them to do that, yes.
Yes.
But I also think it depends on if you're at the game or if you're watching from home. Because if I was there, I think I want the dub regardless. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If I paid money to go there to watch my favorite team, the Denver Nuggets, or whoever it might be on whatever night, like, I want to see them win. You know what I mean? I hate paying to go to a sports game and they lose. Like, that's part of being a fan, man. Fan is short for fanatic. Like, I'm in it.
Yeah.
So I think I would rather, if the opportunity, I would rather them tie it, go to overtime and win, than shoot the 3 and lose. But that being said, if I'm at home watching from the couch, I'm not that invested, bro. It was a free game on TV. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's
it
like
just
a plan.
depends.
If it's the playoffs, hey, don't shoot that 3. Go to overtime. Live to play another day.
Yeah.
But a random regular season game, dude, I want to see some excitement.
Yeah.
Isn't there a saying, like, go for the tie at home, go for the win on the road type shit?
Yeah.
I don't know if that applies to like all sports, but I've definitely heard it in football before.
Yeah, that's one I know it from, too.
No, it's definitely a thing. But I think the part that's getting out of hand is that people were saying, oh, it's the analytics ruining the game. It's like, no, the analytics say you have a higher chance of scoring in the paint uncontested than you do scoring on the wing uncontested. Like, the analytics, all they do is just show people what's already happened, right? And so you can tell just from looking at the data that this team does better when they try to hit a layup on a fast break by themselves with no one around them. Like, the data will say that. But people just like to go cling to, oh, it's the data's fault. It's like, no, it's the coach's fault that he didn't teach these kids that, like the person who took the shot was a rookie. So his role on this team was probably go stand in that corner and don't clog the floor. Like, get good spacing because other people around us are going to be doing stuff. Like, don't get in our way. And so it's not, I don't think it was ever the data. I think it's just people are pointing to it because, there's this idea that everyone's leaning into the data and the data is going to save everybody. All it's doing is just showing people what they've already been doing.
I think it's definitely brought a new light to it for sure.
Yeah,
I think it would be irresponsible to not consider the analytics. Like, there's definitely a place for it. If you want to advance, you got to, same reason that people go to practice every day, every week, is so that you can get better. So if you have these numbers telling you, like, hey, this is the most efficient way to get better, it's like there's a reason that you would practice layups over practicing half-court shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be able to score a layup before we can just start heaving shit.
Right.
So I think that's the argument there. But the thing that kind of rubs me wrong as a fan and a former athlete is when Anthony Edwards had arguably the poster of the season, and we're not even halfway through, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, well, he was 0 for 7 from 3. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? I think, we go back 10, 15 years before analytics was like a really mainstream thing, and there's no shot that people would be harping on, and once again, maybe just internet trolls here, but that people would be harping on the fact that he was 0 for from 3. My man just literally destroyed. I didn't know his name before, and I definitely don't know his name now. Like, I think he's dead. He just crushed this man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's going to be known for forever. You were irrelevant prior, and now you're just a dude that Anthony Edwards absolutely body bagged. Yeah, so, like, that's what I would like to see people getting hype over. And I do think that there's a bit of that the analytics can potentially take away from, because of the point that you're saying, everybody's spreading out to the wing now. That's what basketball is saying is the more efficient thing. Let's get those 3 points if it's a good shot. Right. But if I can just see somebody bang, even if it's an open dunk, you know what I mean? That's exciting to me. Yeah. To Cam's point, is analytics like seeping into the other sports in baseball? I'd actually give baseball some kudos, because I think baseball wants people to hit dingers now. Like, that's the most effective way to score is if you have nobody on base to just hit a freaking dong. So, I would agree. I would say let's go baseball analytics. But
I mean, dude, I would agree with that, and like not ruin our ratings again by talking about baseball. But I think like it definitely is gearing it more towards hitting the home run. Problem is now, like with shifts and everything, that like these guys like are hitting. I just watched an interview with Mike Trout today talking about like Albert Pujols from a couple years ago, about how Albert Pujols is like still rips the ball as an old man, but the shifts that they put on him take away what for years and years in baseball were doubles in the gap or hard hit singles to left field, and now you're talking a simple line out or a simple ground out, and it's kind of like, in a sense, you could say watering down the stats of baseball. And it's kind of taken like I don't know, man. I think you pay for offense. Like for baseball, you want to talk about moving the needle. Like you want to get some offense going, and you're taking away like a game that's already like you get to hit 3 out of the 10 times you're a Hall of Famer. 3 times is great in baseball. So you're now taking away some opportunities from guys from being great who are hitting the ball hard and should be creating offense, an already hard game, and making it harder for dudes. So that's why like it is ruining it in baseball. Also, it ruins it when you watch a damn game and they're trying to do these matchups, lefty, righty, this curveball, that curveball, this part of the game, that part of the game. And it's like, dude, I just watched 2 innings and watched 5 pitching changes. Like, I didn't turn this game on
and sat here for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and watch the manager walk in and out from the dugout and a new guy jump. And even though I am all for bullpen entrance song. But anyway, back to stuff that drives the needle.
Hold on, real quick. Who was the dude that used to pitch for the Braves that came out in relief? John Rocker, maybe? That was just flipping everybody off as he came out. What a legend, dude.
John Rocker.
Oh, man.
That shit's funny. But yeah, I mean, baseball is in a weird spot, but okay, I'll try to be optimistic. Let me put this spin on you boys real quick. You know how sometimes stocks, they be going up, then go down a little bit. Then they go up a little higher, go down a little bit, go up a little bit higher. Maybe we're just in a downtrend in baseball, but when people learn how to hit out of those shifts and stuff like that, that can make baseball even more dynamic. And then maybe it gets more exciting and stuff like that. I will say that the pauses in baseball are boring as shit, and that's part of the reason I don't watch baseball on TV anymore. Like, I'd go to a game whenever, but, like, watching it at home, I don't know.
Let me ask you this, though. As a baseball fan, right, if you're a fan of a team, and now these numbers have taken it to where the managers are, like, switching lineups daily. So you're talking, you might turn on a game. I'm going to turn on an Orioles game, and I'm going to watch this one dude, and he rakes. And I say, you know what? That dude's good. Like, let me watch him another game. I watch him the second game. He rakes again. I'm like, you know what? That might be one of my new favorite players. Then next thing you know, analytics tells you, well, it's a day game, left-handed pitcher with a good curveball. That guy is not in the lineup anymore. And you have 4 day games, left-handed pitcher with a good curveball in a row. Next thing you know, you don't watch your favorite player play for 4 days. Guess what? 4 days, like, I'm going to forget about you, dude. I'm not going to come back. It's just hard. When you turn on a game and you have a 162-game investment and you might not have a chance to see what you think as a fan is your best player. Like, I'm going to watch, you know, whoever it is for the Orioles hit bombs and bombs and bombs. And it's like, oh, bad pitching matchup. You're not in today. I don't get to watch this guy hit bombs. I'm not going to watch the Orioles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Baseball is definitely in a weird spot as far as like how they want to market this stuff. Because you're making a good point. If your best player's not going to play, like, why am I going to watch?
Well,
or your favorite player, rather.
The reason why he wouldn't play, though, is because in the past, they have data to support that, hey, he's not the best person to be put here, right? And I understand what you're saying is we might lose, you might lose the chance to watch your favorite player, but you get the opportunity to watch them in the World Series. So it's like, well, do you want to watch your favorite player hit a couple, and then they lose the game, right? Or would you rather him sit out and then the team wins because of past evidence that they have to support, why they're making the switch, and then they make it all the way?
Yeah, and I guess it depends, but if you're not watching, like, how hard is it to take a commitment to a 162-game season every night, though? Not watching the game. And because of the statistics, the lineups are changing, the rosters are changing daily. I mean, they have a 25 roster. They're constantly calling up from AAA, sending people down, releasing players, bringing in new players. And you don't even know who half of your roster is because this guy only plays on Wednesdays when it's outside. And it's like, but Wednesdays when it's raining outside, this dude hits dingers and he gets in the game. But it's like, I don't know who this guy is because he only plays randomly. It's hard to become really committed to that team. Like, I love the Ravens for so long because it's like I watched Ray Lewis every Sunday line up and ram his head into other people and dominate. And I was like, I can get behind that, And that was for 15 years. Same thing with Ed Reed. I mean, Joe Flacco. Now we're watching Lamar do it. If Lamar would have came here and played his rookie season and just played like the first 6 games, and then next season he played like a game here and there, it's like I would have never came to love Lamar as much as I do now. And he's like, I love the Ravens and I love Lamar, and that combination makes me love the Ravens team that we have right now.
True. Yeah. It's almost like, I mean, to take that approach into NFL, it would get a little sloppy if they say, oh, we can run really well against this team. Lamar, you kill it on the ground when you scramble. But this other team, like, we want to pass a lot, so we're going to sub you out this week for a drop back quarterback. It would make things wonky. Yeah. And that's where we talked about it last episode. We fall in love with the NFL because we love the team. NBA is a little bit more geared towards the players. Baseball is just in a weird spot where it's like, I really don't give a squirt about any of them. Yeah. At least me personally. So I guess they really got to lean in one way or another. And something I do want to bring up real quick, tying it back to our real life experiences. Cam and I played really competitive softball for a few years. And how good did it feel when we said, screw it, we're going to give them that line. So just for reference, me and Cam both played in the outfield with one of our buddies, Paxton, and we lock shit down. Like, I'm going to go ahead and talk our shit, best outfield of any team that we ever played against. We were the best 3 outfielders, no doubt. Always. And there'd be times where, like, Cam played in right, Paxton played in left, I played in center, right? Me and Paxton might both be in left field, and Cam is damn near in center field, and we're just daring somebody to hit it that way, and somebody might hit a missile that would have been in the gap, but I'm just standing there catching it because we put on that shift. That was really hype playing the game where it's like, hey, that really worked out for us, and that's kind of like our own makeshift analytics in, softball, which is not like we have a whole organization behind us, but things that we picked up where that shit would get us hype. You know what I'm saying? If we would catch a ball or one of us lay out in the gap and stuff like that because we were all pinched towards the middle type shit. I don't know, man. I think if you're really in love with that team and you are a diehard fan, I don't think you mind as much because, to Jonathan's point, like, you want to see them win, you want to see them succeed, get to the World Series, get to whatever the pinnacle of that sport is, and you're willing to, kind of take a couple sacrifices along the way.
Yeah. I will say this, that even though I hate analytics in baseball, I don't know how I feel about analytics in basketball. I still feel like I'm kind of 50-50, but for football, like, I think I'm all in on it. Because analytics in the NFL right now is geared towards 4th down conversions and things like that. When are we going to go on 4th down, the conversion rate? They do a lot of win probability percentages. But to me, there's nothing more exciting than a guy going for it on 4th and 3 and it almost, in a sense, the game being on the line. It creates more pivotal moments in the game. In 2019, like when Lamar won MVP, the Ravens were going for it on 4th down a lot, and they were converting on 4th down a lot. And it was winning them games. They went 14-2. Then they get into the playoffs, and I think they were 0 for 3 on fourth down conversions. And I remember the first one happened. They didn't get it, and I was like, that's not good because I've watched every second all season, and that's something they usually get. So I said, and early in the game when they didn't get it, it put a bad pit in my stomach. And then the second one that they didn't get, you almost could feel like the air out of the stadium. It's like, not only are we not really playing the way we have, we're not getting it done on fourth down, and fourth downs are like so crucial. And it just brings another level of excitement to the game that I think you wouldn't get otherwise. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of a dude bombing it downfield with a punt. I mean, I don't think it's going to make a difference in the game, though, and it doesn't put, like, pressure situations for the fan or for the team, and that's kind of what we watch for.
I will say, hearing you guys talk about this, the one thing I've noticed between all of this is that all of these analytics is in, like, if you take the football example you gave, like, that's how to make the offense better, right? Or, like, I guess, just taking it to the NBA, right? I see there being no issue with the analytics because what does that mean? It means we get to see James Harden do some crazy stuff, right? Like, if it was, like, you know, analytics to just, like, build a wall and then just go, all right, like, it's going to be 20-30. That was the game. Let's go home. Like, that would suck. But I think we'll be okay so long as analytics can come in without completely getting rid of all the wow factor. Because it sounds like for baseball, analytics gets rid of, like, your favorite players, right? Like, oh, like, he would have been really cool to see, but it's raining and he's a righty, so we got to take him out against this pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think everyone's okay with it so long as we get to still see all the cool and exciting stuff, right? Like, you guys, like, when you're in the outfield, knew exactly what you needed to do because you had past experiences, you had a rough idea of what you needed to do, so you were kind of using, like, some previous data to make better informed decisions, but, like, at the end of the day, like, that resulted in something really cool. So I think the problem is that sometimes you rely too heavily on the data, it can create a scenario that's, like, not fun. And so, for instance, if you're the Nuggets and you just all went to the wing because, like, if that was what they were told based on the data they needed to do and they missed, like, that sucks. But also, on the flip side, if they use data to get a sick play because they know that, like, this out-of-bounds play always works and they can get some, like, crazy lob, like, that'd be sick. So I think so long as it doesn't ruin how fun the sport is, I think we'll be okay.
I think if you backtrack about 15 minutes ago when I made my first take on baseball, you guys might have convinced me that I don't hate numbers in baseball if you look at it as a player. If you are an analytics guy and you're a player, a coach, a team, I think it's all fan-based on why I don't like analytics. You're taking away excitement. You're taking away favorite players. You're taking away consistency so I can see my favorite players, and that's what I don't like about the game. But to backtrack, it doesn't really make sense if you're actually playing in the game why I wouldn't like it.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason that it's so popular. You got to have the players buying in as well. And if you tell me as a player, like, hey, you're going to have a higher batting average, and that means that we're going to, you know, be setting you up for a higher contract later, but, you know, you're not hitting Wednesdays in the rain. As a player, I'm probably cool with it. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. Especially, once again, using the baseball reference, 162-game season, I'll take some Wednesdays off, bro. I don't give a squirt, bro. If I play 120 games, holy shit, I played a lot of games this year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of piggybacking off of what Jonathan was saying. I want the analytics to still include peak athletic performance. So, like what Cam was saying with going on fourth down, that's my team. You know, if it's the Ravens going on fourth down, can the running back or Lamar make a play to one of the receivers, and can we just out-athleticize, you know, whatever the team is, outperform them, out-will them to get that fourth down? Or in basketball, if that's the analytics, like, can we put up points? Like, I would much rather see a baseball game that ends 8-6 than one that ends 1-0. Like, that's boring. Same thing with football. If we're going forward on fourth down, that probably means that we're scoring more points. As long as it backs up offense, which I think most of the stuff does, maybe other than baseball, which is kind of a weird sport because when you have the ball, you're on defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an oddity in that fact where, you know, the baseball analytics, if we're playing for the shift, that's a defensive thing. But if it equates to more points, more offense, I'm here for it. As a fan, that's what I want to see anyway. I don't really care how I get there. And numbers or not, I want to see points.
I'm pretty curious to what it is in the MLS, Durner. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Not very relevant? Wow. All right.
Surprised me.
Good thought.
Well, that's why footy's boring anyway, because most of those games do end 1-0.
That is true.
I'm sorry,
so,
1-0?
Oh, so excuse me. Holy shit. Oh my gosh, the soccer community is going to kill me.
Durner's been rubbing off on me.
1-0 after 17 plus minutes in overtime. Like, holy shit, I already watched this for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Hey, all soccer fans, leave Nick in the comments below.
Yeah, come for me. I dare you.
Yeah. All right, so to wrap up the show, me and Jonathan, we were going to tell Nick a little story. So Thursday night, I don't know if we're new to this community. I'm new to the Oculus VR game just in general. But I don't know if I'm new to this community or not. But I got a notification on the last podcast we recorded, episode 3. If you haven't listened, go back and check it out. I got a notification about the Magic and the Brooklyn Nets playing a VR game, which was streamed, Thursday at 7:00. And me and Jonathan jumped in there and we watched the game together and we sat courtside. And I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I'm just going to put this up front and then you give your take. To me, it was the best at-home sports watching experience you could have.
I would absolutely agree. I think.
Okay, cool. I'm glad.
You're like, oh, good. You enjoyed being in my company. No,
yeah.
I think.
He's like, except for the fact that I was there with Jonathan and I couldn't shake him, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that is the closest I've been to an NBA court as the game's been going on. Like, as a resident Orlando Magic fan, like, I'd always go to the games, but they got a big stadium and I sat at the top because it was cheap. So I was never close. But being here, I got to sit courtside watching the Nets and the Magic play, and that was amazing because like we're literally seeing like Coach Cliff come up with his belly, and he's just like, oh gosh, okay. Like I don't know, we get to see all the cool plays, we get to see everything as they see it, and I think that was a pretty cool experience. Like I didn't have to shell out any money, and I got all the benefits.
Dude, Nick, there was a point we were sitting there in this VR, and Kyrie Irving was getting ready to check into the game to like go in from the bench, and he basically came up to the scorer's table and kneeled down like right in front of Jonathan and I. I mean, obviously anybody who was watching the broadcast, but you felt like you could reach out and touch Kyrie. That's how close it was.
Was it all from just one angle the entire game, or did they have multiple things? So could you like walk around like the court? That's sick.
Well, so the way it worked is you get into basically you enter a lobby in the Venues app on the Oculus, which side note, I entered earlier that day to see what it was about. I did not prepare myself to go in there and meet like real people. Like you create your avatar, you go in and you are hanging out, walking around real people, and I was not mentally prepared for it. I had a virtual reality panic attack and like exited out of it right away.
I'm not decent.
Yeah. So then you go in, which Jonathan and I, so they have, it's almost like a movie theater, and then you would enter like what you want to watch. Yeah. They have different events and things going on. So Jonathan and I, we had to find each other first, which was a little bit of a struggle, but once we did, everything was smooth. But we found each other in this movie theater, and we had to enter the Brooklyn Nets arena together, and they group people, like 15 people together at one time, and you're standing in like a booth. Now you can go on the lower level or the upper level of the booth to watch the game, but the game like takes you to different angles. So for certain points, we were watching courtside, like half court, down low. Some points it would take us up for a free throw. It would take us like behind the net to watch the free throws. And then for halftime, it would kind of take us back to the almost like you were watching from up top, and it would show an actual separate broadcast, which was specific to Oculus with Adam Amin and Richard Jefferson. They were like calling the game, and it would show their videos up there. It was pretty cool.
And for whenever something happened that like, we might have missed, like they got this like sick dunk, right? We're seeing it from half court, we're like, oh, that's really cool. But then what they would do is they'd play the replay, and they would show like whatever cool thing happened like at the optimal spot. So like if it was someone dunking, they'd show it like cameras like behind the backboard. You could see him doing his thing and he dunks it, right? So like they would always switch it depending upon like what cool thing just happened.
Yeah.
How was the experience with the other people in your party? So it was like you two plus like 13 other people. Were they like cheering loud? You could hear them the other time? Like was it a lot of Nets fans, a lot of Magic fans? Like how was the back and forth?
So I think so. Basically, it was basically anybody that would go into the game. I don't think it was really like team dependent because I don't know how heavy the Oculus is yet in the gaming world. So I think like if you had it and you were a basketball fan, you were going. I don't know if it mattered if you were a Magic or a Nets fan. But so Jonathan and I, when we first got in there, we were having a little trouble getting with each other. So then we like called each other and we thought we were linked since we were friends. So we went into the first little booth that we were in, and we walk in and nobody's saying anything. Keep in mind, you can mute your mic at this time. So nobody else can hear if you're talking. So we don't hear anybody talking, and we start, we say to each other like, "Hey, can everybody else hear us, or is it just me and you talking?" And we think that we're linked and nobody else can hear us. So we're like, you know what? Screw it. I didn't want to sit with a bunch of random ass people anyway. Like I figured I just want to enjoy the game with you. And as I'm saying that, after I finish, a guy turns to me and he says, "Nah, we all can hear you."
Oh shit! They like identified you as a noob from your like whatever avatar you created. They're like, first time in here, we're gonna fuck with them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so. Were you guys in the same booth together, or did you guys get like split off the rip?
So it's more like you show up to a box and there's 15 people and you can choose to go to the lower or the upper. And so a lot of people when they came in, they just they saw the arena, so they just like kind of went to the rails to like, oh cool, let's watch the game. But then Kim and I noticed like, hey, no, like there's a little space here that says like to the elevator. So we went to the elevator and it just took us to the higher upper deck. So like the whole time while we're there, other people could hear us. Like anyone who came up, they could hear us and we could interact with them. But I don't think most of them knew about it, so it was kind of quiet for up top. But I mean, we had a couple conversations with some of these people about the plays or like whatever, and it was just really, really cool.
Dude, it was awesome.
That is interesting. So let me ask you fellas this then: if watching a game on TV is free, or as long as you have cable or some sort of streaming service is free, and say going to watch a game, depending on like I think me and Cam have gotten baseball tickets before for like $15, if we go on the right random night and stuff like that, or you could spend hundreds of dollars on tickets. If they start saying like, hey, if you have an Oculus, that gives you access to potentially do these things, but it's almost like a pay-per-view type deal, how much would you guys be willing to spend to watch it in VR like that versus watch it on TV? Is it worth spending any money on?
So it's tough because, I will say this, the actual like video quality of the game was not as good as 4K TV. It was still good. Like you could still see everything like clear enough. I would say if you were trying to look at details though, like you could look up in the corner of the arena and try to see the score. And it was kind of hard to read the score, so it wasn't crystal clear quality. But I think what made up for the not being crystal clear quality was like I could watch the game with Jonathan and feel like we were there together in person. Like I couldn't do otherwise. Now, if you're talking like I would pay maybe for like a season pass or something. I'm not saying I wouldn't pay money to do this, but it would definitely be cost dependent. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if they were like, it's $5 to go watch the game, I might support my favorite team, right? Especially if it's like All-Star Weekend or the playoffs, like I will definitely be there because like I don't have to go out to wherever, in this case like last year it was Orlando. I don't have to go there, right? I can just put on the headset and I'm there and I'm watching it and it's from the comfort of my own home. I don't have to worry about traveling there. It's great. Yeah. So I mean, I definitely say it's worth it.
This is definitely I think a of the times experience too, because one, we have the technology to do so, and two, because it's quarantine, we can't really go to games as fans. Where would you guys rank this among so you two went to the VR game together.
Yeah.
Rank that amongst also going to say both of you guys met up at Cam's place to watch the game together on the couch versus going to the game, given that that's an option. Where does that fall on the spectrum? Of any given night, is going to the game still a top tier thing, or for the convenience? And once again, of course, sorry, let me rephrase my question, because at least for me, I think being in person in the game, if that was an option all the time, that's what I would want to do. But also weigh in convenience factor and how often you could do it. Say you can go to a game a couple times, throughout the season. You can watch on TV any night, and maybe these VR events happen once every 10 games or some shit like that. How would you kind of rank those experiences? What's the best still? Did that take the top spot, or it's still the worst? What's going on?
I mean, going to the game is definitely the best. I think that Like compared to like me and John together, like in person rather than VR, I would rather watch the game I don't know. It's tough because I think I'd rather watch the game in person because it's more than just conversation. I guess we could like hang out, drink some beers together, and like enjoy some company too. But I think too that's like a Saturday thing. If the four of us got together on a Saturday to watch the game, where this was a random Thursday, and it was like, hey, I can jump into this game. I watched until halftime and then got out of there. And if I would have gone to his house to watch till halftime on a Thursday, it would have been 7 to 8:30, and then an hour drive home. And all that. So it's definitely it makes watching the game with your boy on a random night a lot easier.
Yeah, I would almost say that if they can get the quality of the streams up, I think that rather than, like, if you're not going in person, I would say that this really, really beats hanging out together. If we're just talking about the sport, it's just like the game itself, right? Yeah. And honestly, if they can get those streams even better, I mean, who's to say that this wouldn't be worse than what you could get at a real game, right? Because once again, if I'm going to an Orlando Magic game, I don't have the money to go courtside. Like I'm not spending the money to go courtside. But if I can just go courtside now, like that's probably going to be and I can switch between how I want to view the game. Like that would probably be the best experience. I think just the human aspect though, right? You can't really beat like being right next to Cam. Like we're like eating food and like watching the game. I think that definitely still, as far as like the company, like that wins. But
Nick, dude, check this out.
It's insane. Yeah.
It sounds like it's just missing like how immersed you can be in the game when you are amongst actual company. But if that aspect of it improved, like it would be super, super cool.
Yeah.
Dude, Nick, we could literally we were dapping each other up.
It's true.
We fist bump, high five, we were taking.
We took a selfie.
They have an option. Yeah, you can get a camera out in the VR world, and me and him have some selfies of us watching the game together in the arena.
Hey, so maybe the most important question I've got to ask you guys about it, because this is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm a little jelly. I wasn't able to join you guys. I'm going to be Google searching Oculuses after this so I can pull up to the next game. But I got to know, and maybe, I don't know how deep we are into the podcast. Maybe this is how we can end this. Can I have both of you guys describe and also rank each other's avatars, like what y'all look like in VR land? And is it good, or do y'all look like clowns?
Nah, I mean, you're limited to what you can do.
Yeah.
Does it look like a Wii character?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. A little bit better than the Mii's, but it's pretty comparable. It wasn't like, all right, do you want facial hair 1 or facial hair 2? Or like, it wasn't. Yeah. It was like, do you want glasses or not? Are you gonna have red hair or black hair, right?
Did you guys try to make it look like yourselves though? Well, hold on, real quick. Ah, damn it.
Well, I think it was really cool.
Who got drip? Anybody got drip?
We're both wearing hoodies.
Really.
But I think it was really cool.
A blue hoodie on.
Because when we got to the lobby, like he was there first, so he's just kind of like sitting, and I'm like, and I spawned in, and I'm like, yeah, like I could see him, and like it looks like, so I was like, and he turns around, he's like, oh, like he just knew, right? Like the heads are above our names, but still, it was like, oh my gosh, like I can recognize.
Heads are above your names.
The names are above our heads.
No. It's a body, a name, and then a head.
Crap. But it was cool. Like I could recognize like that is Cam, and Cam could recognize that as me. So like we came up and like we could give each other dap and all that stuff. So it felt pretty cool.
Okay.
Hey Nick, there's so the second stream that they're doing this Thursday, they got a Wizards game, the Clippers Wizards this Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll be back in there before then. Sorry.
Oh, it's only $2.99, bro. Put a payment plan, $10 a month.
I heard they're hard to get.
Oh no, I didn't have no trouble.
They're not like readily available type shit.
There was a shortage a while back. I don't know if there still is one right now. I could be wrong.
We'll see.
Before we waste everybody's time while we let's wrap up this episode. All right, we're gonna check y'all out next Wednesday, 8 a.m. YouTube.com. We'll figure out the link. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Former Athletes. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on social, and we'll see you next week.